the Aboriginal boy, the Indigenous boy who was
he got
murdered a
stabbed to
couple
death,
weeks ago.
yeah.
He was stabbed with a kitchen knife, and there's footage. These teens are filming themselves doing the crime.
Yeah.
And they're still let out on bail, right? Why would you film something? That shows intent. You're holding,
of course.
like,
there's no question there's intent there.
but you know, when it comes to, to be fair, this is outside my scope of knowledge. But when it comes to the legal system, you've got first degree murder, second degree, and I think a lot of it has to do with intent or showing motivation or premeditation. Right?
I think those are American categories. I think in Australia we classify it differently. But yes, there are different levels of charge that will be brought against you depending on intent being part of it.
If we have them filming it, posting it on social media, boasting about it, that shows not only is it intent, there's likely premeditation there.
Yeah.
They've thought, I'm going to go get this weapon and then find this person to stab them.
And there's also intent to continue. So of those 4 kids that got bailed,
they went back to the scene.
They went back to the scene, and one of them was boasting about how once you've stabbed somebody, you just want to keep doing it.
Yes.
It's intoxicating, right? I mean,
These are kids, man.
Yeah. So I've said it online. I'm going to say it again. If there is any adult male in the lives of these kids, they need to get a bunch of other adult males, bring those kids into a room, lock the door, and humble them.
Yeah.
Literally for their own safety. These kids are on a fast track to an early grave and probably going to take some other people with them when they go. For their own safety, they need to be humbled. And if that includes being hospitalized for 6 months in traction, eating through a straw, so they can have a think about what they're doing with their life, that is going to be doing them a favor.
Yeah. This is what the cotton wool approach to parenting has done. And look, for the most part, a lot of these kids don't have good role models. I'll give them that. A lot of these kids are actually in state care, which, you know, they're likely traumatized from. I'm not denying that they've had difficulty.
Okay.
But approaching them with cotton gloves and saying, oh, you know, we're going to look after you, you are only enabling them. And I've made this point about Nayab, right? There comes a point where you cross a threshold where being kind and empathetic doesn't work, and you're also punishing the victims and the broader community.
We have crossed that threshold in these cases.
Yeah.
Regarding the state care, yes, understood. Traumatic, challenging, not a good upbringing. But also out of state care, you've got people like Crystal Mitchell, the former cop who went on to have a decorated cop career, 15 years in the service, and then on principle resigned and gave up that whole life that she'd built for herself because she wouldn't let go of her standards, her principles, her morals. That person also came out of state care.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, state care is not a good enough excuse to say, oh, I'm stabbing people because I was in state care. No, you're stabbing people because you've decided to stab people.
Can I make a point that might be a bit of a stretch?
Okay.
Right? And forgive me, I'm sort of thinking about this as we're talking. But like I said, for the last 5 years, definitely, but I would say the last 10 years, opinions like ours were suppressed, right?
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to say them. These kids, some of them are 13 up to 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
They have grown up in the time of social media where it was great to be a victim.
Yeah.
You got the more victimhood status you had, the more you were elevated, the more
They've never known anything different.
Correct. So a lot of them, I'm not denying they've probably had terrible upbringing, so they've probably gone through some serious trauma.
Yeah.
But remember, that is a good commodity you have these days. You can commodify that. That is currency. Because now you can just be like, absolved of all your sins. Oh, well, no, but, you know, my life's been really hard.
And that's exactly what they are doing in the courts.
Whereas, imagine for the last 10 years if opinions like yours and mine and the like weren't suppressed.
Yeah.
Imagine if there were good role models. People wonder why Andrew Tate popped up, because you stopped rational, civil, and commonsensical voices from being able to say the thing out of political correctness.
Yeah.
And because
you
you
might
did
hurt
that,
somebody's feelings.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because you're more worried about feelings and being sensitive and always speaking up for this unknown victim, right? No, it might hurt someone. Who?
Yes.
Which someone? Who's this person?
And the white knight syndrome that comes in, we have to speak up on behalf of all of the other oppressed groups out there because obviously we're the ones that can make the difference, right? Which is just removing all agency from them.
Correct.
These kids need to be taken to like a boot camp type scenario.
They need to be put through friggin' Hell Week by the Navy SEALs. That's what they need.
And to actually have all their privileges, essentially all their rights taken away. The things, there's a reason why kids, a child's parent is allowed to violate their rights. No, you're going to stay in your room. You're going to sit in that chair. You're going to keep your seatbelt on. You're grounded. There's a reason why they can do things that no one has the right to do to another adult.
Yeah.
Unless they've crossed into actual crime.
Yeah.
Parents restrict the rights of children and then give those to their children progressively over time for exactly this reason. And when someone is allowed to get to essentially almost an adult age, I mean, these kids are oftentimes 16, 15 years of age.
When are they released from state care? When do they get their independence?
I actually don't know.
Can they be emancipated at 16?
I cannot confidently answer that question.
Okay.
I don't know. It would be around that range.
Yeah.
But, is it 18? Is it? I don't know. But these kids, I'm sorry, they need to actually be put through some kind of a process where they go right back to being children again. And they are treated like children again. They have no rights, no permissions. They earn the permission to do every single thing. I would suggest take them deep into the outback, make them live under the stars for a while, building their own shelters, finding their own food, etc. Not literally leave them to the point that they starve to death or
but
die.
I reckon put them in the military reserve, make them go through it.
No, I'm not in favour of that at all.
Really?
Yeah, having been in the army. That is a terrible idea from the point of view of just the effectiveness of the army, morale in the army. All the time.
I don't mean they become part of the army. I mean put them through a boot camp like that.
I would say something harsher.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Do you know what
enough.
I think? And again, I'm just spitballing ideas here. Like, I've got an older brother, and you've got brothers. Like, we all know men who maybe went off the rails a little bit, or you know, they had all this testosterone and nowhere to challenge it.
What do you mean we know these people? Some of us are these people.
Yeah, right. Like, well, I wouldn't put you in this category, but maybe you've got a past I don't know about.
Who knows?
But I was like that as a teenager. There was definitely those moments where I was rebelling. I think for a lot of these kids, and again, I'm not justifying it. You guys know how I feel about youth crime, but they've got no outlets. Yeah. How are they burning off this testosterone? These kids have got so much energy and they've got a lot of anger and resentment, and you're giving them no opportunities to get it out. So this is how it manifests. Like, imagine if these kids had sport that they could go channel themselves into, and it was celebrated to not only be amazing at sport, but you can win, and being a winner isn't a bad thing. Oh, everyone gets a participation trophy. So what's the incentive to try?
Sure.
Why would you try?
I mean, one of the kids that was murdered by these kids, or kids like them, with the machetes when the two kids were murdered in the one night. One of them was on their way back from, I think it was soccer
they were coming back from basketball.
Basketball, was it? I mean, those options are available. I'm going to come back to the choices thing. They're making the choice not to channel their energy into that sort of thing.
Well, yes and no, because for the most part, remember, we're running through an era where masculinity is being demonized. Being a man is bad. You know, it's all toxic masculinity.
Sure, but I mean, scoring a goal in basketball is still celebrated. You're still going to get a cheer and a high five from your teammates.
Yes and no, that's if they get there. So the two kids murdered were at basketball.
Yeah.
But they weren't the ones doing the murdering. It's the other two who weren't there. But this
is what I'm saying, that option is available to those other ones. They're choosing to spend their energy in machine fights.
Because they're getting more reward from living the life they're living. So that, like, you know, these kids are all engaged in aggravated burglaries and stealing cars, and they're living that grand theft auto life.
They're making money that way, and also they're getting the social props on social media, that social contagion.
Because, and I honestly, I'm going to make this point. I feel like it's relevant. We have demonized winning. We have demonized people excelling. Yeah. So we give participation trophies. You can't be the winner. Being first place, second place, third place is bad. This is that generation.
Yeah.
They're told that, no, you're all winners.
Yeah.
But do you know where they win? Where they have power or an authority over someone else, and that makes them feel like they've won.
That's their drug.
Going into someone's house, stealing their wallet, and holding a machete to their throat, and then stealing their car. They have power. They haven't had power in any other part of their life.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying it, to be clear.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me. So I am empathizing in the sense that these kids have had a very shit upbringing.
Yeah.
But this approach from the government and by the community at large is also not working.
Yeah.
I understand what the causation is. Give them an outlet to channel it, make them feel like they belong somewhere, make them feel like they can work for something. I've said this before, put them in fucking juvie and put them through an apprenticeship. And juvie will firstly take them off the street, get them away from drugs and drinking and other gang affiliations. And not to say that you might not have that in juvie, right? But if the juvies will run well, you wouldn't have all the drugs, right? That's a whole nother story. Give them an incentive, right? And I've said this point before, but it's worth just reiterating. Let's say it's a plumber, right? We know we have a skills shortage in Australia, right? And I know this from my partner. He cannot get an apprentice.
Yeah.
Give them an opportunity to do something. Choose one. You could be a mechanic, a plumber, a chippy, whatever. Pick one. For 4 years, you're in juvie and you get to learn this trade. And that's all you get to do, right? Because you don't get access to social media. You don't get access to all this shit that's going to take away your focus. You become exceptional at welding, exceptional at woodwork, exceptional at working on a car engine. And you come out and you are employable. You weren't before you went into juvie. But now, and not only that, when you get released from juvie, you're not just like, see you later, go, good luck to you. It's like, all right, this is part of your rehabilitation. We have got you a job and you just have to do this and you're going to earn this money that you should be getting, but we are going to guide you. There's some little guardrails there. I'm not everyone will be saved by that.
Most of what you've described already exists in one form or another. It's not the default, but those programs exist. Your wood shop and your skills training and that sort of stuff. Your vocational training.
None of these kids are in it.
People can get degrees in while they're in prison. The problem is the one that you mentioned there with, they're off drugs and they're off alcohol and blah, 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 because you don't have that in prison. Oh, well, if they were well run, you wouldn't have that in prison. Well, yes, if all of these programs were well run, if our justice system was well run, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because these kids wouldn't have gotten bail a second time. They might have got bail from the first one, but they wouldn't have got it a second time. So the if it was well run caveat, unfortunately, can't be sort of glibly thrown out there. That is the crux of the problem. The problem isn't that we lack those programs. The problem is that fundamentally our justice system is no longer interested in delivering justice.
Yeah. I thought I'd play this quickly because we did make mention of this.
4 out of 5 teens accused of a brutal attack on a Melbourne family are back on the street this morning, with 3 of the boys claiming to have been involved, returning to the South Bank scene on Sunday. One of the teens allegedly involved bragged of being addicted to stabbing people. The random attack of the father and son outside Crown Casino saw the pair bashed before the 23-year-old son was slashed with a knife. The teen, 4 out of 5 teens... Yeah,
and there they are recreating the bashing.
They're freaking
here
kids.
We stomped on them here. Okay, so the one that made that boast, for me, I think should be immediately brought in by the adults in his life who should take a baseball bat to his ankles and feet.
Yeah, break all
the bones in his ankles and feet.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're going to limp for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You are never going to walk properly again, and you will forever live with that as a reminder of who you allowed yourself to become and as a living testament to what happens to people that allow themselves to become you. Oh, hi, you're still here. I just assumed everyone had left because Carly always falls asleep, let's be honest. Oh, is that just me? I fall asleep because Carly... I don't know. Anyway, you're still here. So, did you just hit the... Carly, did you just reach... Seriously? Can you not leave well enough alone?
No. I must infiltrate every part of your life.
Back to me. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, because I suffer through Carly twice a week for you. I drive hours from where I live down to Melbourne to be tortured by Carly every week, and I do it for you because I love you so much. So please help me out. Just like, comment, subscribe, share the show, make sure that everyone else can join in the fun, and show up next week for like more oddcasty goodness. And if you really, really want to help me, then you can buy me a coffee via that little QR code there. You'll be supporting the show and helping me to tolerate Carly.